Hello and welcome. My name's Julie Nolan and I am the Assistant State Director and Mat-Su Regional Director for the Alaska Small Business Development Center. This presentation is made possible by generous support through Wells Fargo Bank and 360 North. The Alaska Small Business Development Center is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration. The Alaska Small Business Development Center breaks down the life cycle of a business into 5 stages: think, launch, grow, reinvent, and exit. This think stage is what we're focusing on today. This is before you start your business, when you're thinking about getting started. The launch phase is typically your first year or 2 in business. Then we move into grow, which is when your business now has opportunities to increase revenues and sales. We then move into reinvent. This is when you have the opportunity to shift gears and make some significant changes in your business. And finally, we move into the exit stage. This is when you're ready to now move out of the business. Again, today we're focusing on the think stage. This is part 1 of a 5-part series that will dig deeper into each of the 5 life cycles of the small business. At the bottom of each slide, you'll notice some icons. These icons represent information that can be downloaded through our website at aksbdc.org. Throughout this presentation, we're going to cover the following topics: clarifying your idea, determining the feasibility, and researching the market. So the first step is to figure out what your basic idea will be. I'm sure now that you're thinking about starting a business, you have a lot of thoughts going through your mind. So it's really important to refine those ideas, put them on paper, and really start to pencil out exactly what you think your business will be built on. By understanding these concepts, it will help you build the foundation for a better business. Then it's time to really figure out exactly which products and services you'll sell. Or maybe you'll have a combination of both products and services. So for example, perhaps you're going to open a restaurant which also has a small gift shop selling cookbooks and aprons and sauces. So that's an example of a business that would sell both products and services. And it's important to decide, are you going to start a brand new business from scratch? Or do you think it might be better to investigate any businesses that may be on the market for sale? There are pros and cons to both situations, and we'll look at those now. So starting from scratch. Of course, this is a short list that looks at some of both the advantages and the disadvantages of starting from scratch rather than purchasing an existing business. But nonetheless, they're important things to think about. So the pros, or some of the advantages. When you're starting a business from the ground up, you have a fresh slate of ideas. You have the ability to build your business the way you want it built, rather than purchasing an existing business that already has some of the policies and procedures in place. Another benefit is you have no reputation, so you have the ability to build your reputation. And believe it or not, starting from scratch may actually cost you less, because it gives you the opportunity to acquire those assets as you need them rather than purchasing an existing business that may have a bunch of equipment and tools and software and such that you may not quite need yet. And of course, there may be some disadvantages to starting a business from scratch rather than purchasing. So first, access to capital. Financing a startup business can be difficult. It's not always easy to get a loan for a startup, and we'll look at that a little more closely in just a few minutes. Also, when you're starting from scratch, it takes time to see some profit because you have to pay off those startup costs, where if you're purchasing an existing business, you may start seeing cash flow a little bit more quickly. And of course, if you're starting a business from scratch or you're buying a business, there's always some risk involved in being in business. So it's just important to think about those pros and cons of starting a business from scratch versus purchasing. So now let's take a look at some of the pros and cons, or benefits and risks associated with purchasing an existing business. So first, the pros. Well, it's nice to know that all the startup work is done. A lot of the basics have already been completed, such as buying the business licenses, researching the compliance and regulations issues, and creating budgets and financial systems. Also, existing businesses already have their client base in place. You don't have to spend a lot of time and money going out to try to earn new customers when you already have customers that are doing business with you. And of course, some of the procedures are already in place. This could include the work systems, the daily operations, policies and procedures, job descriptions, employee handbooks, and many others. And of course, this short list of pros and cons also does include some disadvantages or some cons. So let's take a look at those. Purchasing a business can be more expensive than starting from scratch because you're acquiring a lot of those assets that are already in place that maybe you don't quite need yet. Also, buying a business, sometimes you're buying some lemons as far as the equipment and some of the other assets. So it's always a good idea to make sure that everything you're purchasing is in good working order and you're not going to have to spend a lot of money making major improvements. We like to think that most businesses have a good reputation, but unfortunately, that's not always the case. So when purchasing a business, it's always a good idea to reach out to some of the current customers, some of the vendors, and maybe even the employees to help determine what the reputation of that business really is. And of course, sometimes there's employee morale issues as well. So it's a good idea to kind of interview some of those employees and figure out, what their general feel is regarding the business and the sale or potential sale of that business. So now let's take a look at the feasibility. Most people have started a feasibility study when they're considering starting a business. They may just not realize that what they're doing is a feasibility study. A feasibility study is basically doing all the research, or as much research as you can, to make sure that this business is a good idea on paper and that it pencils out. And by doing all of this in advance, it can save you a lot of time and money before just jumping into your business. So you really need to be realistic with yourself on exactly what the cost will be associated with starting your business. So first, I always recommend starting with a startup budget. This is making a list of everything and anything you might need to start your business. So this could include your business licenses, equipment, software, improvements to the lease space that you're looking at, anything you're going to spend money on to start your business. This will give you an idea of how much it's going to cost you to start your business and how you're going to pay for it. If you don't have enough money, you might be looking for some financing options. So let's take a look at some of those options. There are options when it comes to purchase or to paying for a business. And here's a short list. Of course, there's other creative options out there. So first we have owner investment. This is putting your own money into the business and paying for it yourself. Then we have credit cards. So these are personal credit cards that are in your name, and you're going to rack up a little bit of debt to help pay for some of the costs associated with starting your business. Borrowing from friends and family is sometimes an option. And then we get into small business loans. Now, as I mentioned earlier, getting a loan for a startup business is not always easy. There's basically three things the banker's looking for when it comes to getting a loan for your business. So those three things in a nutshell are: first, good credit. You and any partners involved in the business should all have a decent credit score. Next, money down. Yes, it takes money to borrow money. So plan on having about roughly 20% to put down towards the total loan amount. And then the third thing is a well-written business plan. And that's where the SBDC can come in and really help get you going, is by helping to assist with a business plan. We do have some tools available on our website: a business plan outline, a business plan cheat sheet, and we also have a financial model that can help you crunch those numbers. In addition to all of those tools, we also have some writing a business plan workshops that you can look into at our website. And again, our web address is www.aksbdc.org. Then we move into investors. Sometimes there are folks out there that have some deep pockets and are looking to invest in business ideas. If you can find those people, great, but sometimes they're few and far between. So don't have too high of hopes when it comes to attracting investors. But if you are trying to attract an investor, again, that business plan is going to be very helpful. And then we have grants. Well, a lot of people think there are grants for small businesses, but the truth is that really grants are very few and far between when it comes to grants for-profit businesses. I always recommend to my clients that if you are trying to find a grant to start your business, make sure that you're going to a website that ends in .gov. So grants.gov, for example. There are many, many, many websites out there that promise grants, and quite a few of those are scams. So please use caution when investigating any grant opportunities. So now that we've looked at the feasibility of what it takes to start the business, how much it will cost to start the business, and how you can pay for your business, you also really need to be honest with yourself about whether or not you have what it takes to make this business fly. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How much time do you have to invest in a business? Remember, being a business owner is really more than a full-time job. You will be working more than 40 hours a week, most likely, especially in those beginning months, sometimes years of starting your business. So I just really recommend that you be very honest with yourself in the time that you have to commit and whether or not you have all the right strengths to pull this off. If you don't have all of those strengths, that's okay. You can outsource a lot of this, things like IT needs, bookkeeping. You can certainly hire good professionals to help you along the way. So now let's take a look at your market. So what do we mean by the market? Well, the market includes several topics. Your target market, which is how you're going to reach your customers and who are those customers, and also looking at your competition and your industry as a whole, and figuring out what's going to set you apart from your competitors, what's going to encourage your customers to do business with you rather than your competition. So first, let's talk about your target market. Almost every business can profile their target market by figuring out what are the ages of the people you're trying to reach. Are they male? Are they female? Do they have any special interests? So using that restaurant example we talked about, maybe you have a sports bar. So in that case, who would your target market be? Well, I would venture to guess that your primary target market would probably be men ages 21 to 50, somewhere in there. And then you might also have a secondary market of both men and women in possibly a different age range. But it's really unlikely that you would be targeting teenagers, for example, into your sports bar. So by simply figuring out who your best customers are, that's going to go a long way to help you figure out how to reach those customers, how to market to them. Next, let's talk about competition. So most industries have both direct competition and indirect competitors. So using this sports bar example again. So obviously your direct competitors are other sports bars in the area or pubs. Well, what about your indirect competitors? So this would be maybe restaurants, family-style restaurants, or bars, not family-style bars probably. These are the other businesses out there that might have big screen TVs and are showing the football game on Monday night or Sundays. So understanding that other businesses similar to yours can certainly be considered competition. It's basically anybody else that's trying to get a piece of the pie of the customer dollars that you're going after as well. And then we have the unique advantage. So what's going to set you apart from the rest? What's going to convince your customers to change their current habits and start doing business with you? There are lots of things that could make up your unique advantage. Maybe you offer senior discounts or military discounts. Maybe you have great parking, great access. Maybe you have bigger, better TVs in your sports bar, or you're giving out free popcorn, who knows? Whatever the case may be, really, you want to think about what it is that's going to set you apart. What's going to encourage people to do business with you? And that's something that you really want to focus on and really improve upon to try to get that piece of the pie from your customers. So today we've discussed several important topics regarding the think stage of the small business life cycle. Again, this is part 1 of a 5-part series, which will dig deeper into each of the 5 stages of the small business life cycle. I wish you the best of luck on your journey of starting your business. Please remember to visit our website, aksbdc.org. You can get more information on our website on a lot of the topics we discussed today. You can also review our workshop lists and come visit us for more information. Again, this presentation was made possible by generous support from Wells Fargo Bank and 360 North. Thank you.